Welcome as a new master student at NHH. This is usually the week when we try to present the school to you, and at the same time you meet each other. And you make new friends, you meet new students, fellow students. That's a tough combination, but this year it's very different. But let us see what makes it easier and what makes it harder. In this presentation, I would like to present the management team at NHH, and I will also tell you a little bit about what we do. In the rector team, there are 5 people, but the ones you will meet most of the time is probably me as the rector and Malin Arve, the vice rector for academic affairs. Malin is doing a lot of scientific work on quite technical stuff in management science, but nowadays she's a part of the rector team. Malin, you are from a place called Krokstadelva, a rather small place, I will argue, close to Drammen in Norway, but still you are the most international person within the rector team. You are a Swedish citizen and you have spent many years in Toulouse in France taking your PhD. So please, Malin.
Thank you, Øystein, for that introduction.
I just have to start with saying that it's really great to be here. And you are absolutely right. So I'm in charge of our bachelor's and master's program. And since you're in charge of the overall thing at the school, so everything that happens at the school, I'm pretty sure that we are the ones that the students will see the most of. But I'm just really happy to be here today.
And I suspect that we have the same reason for agreeing on this being a very important time. But just to check, why are you happy to be here today? What are the explicit reasons?
So for me, at least, even if the students aren't physically here with the 2 of us right now, I, and hopefully both of us, are really happy that they chose NHH for their master's degree. And I'm sure I can actually guarantee you that we will do everything we can to equip you with the tools and knowledge that you need to become the leaders and economists of the next generation.
And as you know by now, you are, after all, new master students. All organizations have a strategy, and giving you the best possible start on your career is part of our strategy.
And I think we can talk forever about this strategy,
Definitely.
right? And this is where we go into mega trends and technological change and all of that. But I think maybe we should cut it short a little bit today, and the students can go into our website and look at that. So maybe we shouldn't focus too much on that today.
But I can guarantee you that there is a lot of exciting, interesting, important stuff there. And having successfully obtained your bachelor degree already, you have moved one step closer to another thing that is really important at NHH. And that is, of course, research. And now we have come to the next member of the rector team. I will like to introduce Kenneth Fjell to you. Professor Kenneth Fjell, expert in accounting and business science. But what is not that well known is the fact that Kenneth is also an expert when it comes to big machines. And the type of machines I have in mind is actually excavators. So that is rare among professors at least. So please, Kenneth.
Thank you.
Turning, we can talk about big machines today, but so Kenneth, let's turn to today's topic. How far are our new master students really from the research frontier?
Well, they're closer really than ever in many ways, and research surrounds us all over the place. The teachers they meet are all educated researchers virtually here at NHH, and the vast majority also are active researchers.
So, but active research, that sounds pretty good, but to have a teacher who is research active, what does it really mean? What does it imply?
Well, in some cases, the part of the research that they're doing will come into the classroom, and you'll take part of that. You'll find the teacher's own publications on your reading list in the master's course. In some cases, you'll be part of replicating perhaps research studies and results. So it'll be quite interesting, I think, for many. And also, there is the opportunity, obviously, to maybe join some of the research research that's going on in departments as a research assistant, or many of the research groups that we have at NHH. So
we also train new researchers in our PhD program. Maybe it's a little bit early, on your first 2 days as a master student to think about PhD, but well, don't be sure about that. So can you tell me a little bit more about the PhD program?
Absolutely, that's a fabulous thing. I mean, you love the masters where you have the flexibility to choose a lot of courses, but the PhD will give you the opportunity to delve into what you find most interesting for years, and you get paid. And it's a terrific chance to learn more. And we admit some 20 new PhDs every year from all over the world, but quite a few also from NHH, and we'd like to have more.
To be precise about that, we do recruit some of them from our own master program, but a lot of them from other schools, nationally and internationally. And personally, I actually took my PhD at NHH, but then I was not part of the bachelor program here. I came from another institution, but I took my PhD at NHH, and I'm very happy about that.
And instead of talking warmly about this, maybe we should go and talk to someone who came from abroad and is taking a PhD here at us to see what is it like to do this.
Good idea.
Rather than me and Øystein sitting in studio talking about taking a PhD, why don't we go ahead and ask a true PhD student? What is it like to take a PhD at NHH?
Taking a PhD has been a very good experience so far. So in the beginning, to start with, there is a course component. And that I think is a very good adjustment period to go from full-time study into doing something like research and writing your own papers, for example. I think one of the greatest things about a PhD is the freedom that it allows you to do what you want to do and to research in a subject that you really like and are curious about. And the autonomy in a PhD program is something that I think is not present in many other types of work. And I think that is one of the greatest things, is you have ownership over your own work. It's a really good work environment. The people that you're working with are very nice and helpful and kind, and you can always go and knock on someone's door and they're always, very ready to help. So some of the best people to be working with.
A very important thing that Rabia says concerns the environment and the culture at NHH. The NHH culture, that is something we think very hard and specifically about. And the NHH culture is part of everything we do at NHH. One person who is really good at discussing this is Therese Sverdrup, the next member of the rector team. Therese is Vice Rector for Innovation and Development. She is doing a lot of scientific work on teams, organizations, strategy. But what I like to think about is the fact that Therese is also a ski enthusiast, not of the old-fashioned Norwegian cross-country type, but here we are talking about snowboarding and sagging and so on. So that is also part of Therese's life, but maybe not everyday life at NHH. So please, Therese.
Thank you for that, Øystein. just to prove that we are following the infection prevention regulations.
But that is very good. But say a few words about the NHH culture.
Yes, I would like to go back to what Kenneth said about we have a research-based education at NHH. We also do research-based running of the school as well. As you said, I do research on teams and organizations, and we actually use some of our research where we looked at expectation management in teams to put that into these regulations of the culture of NHH. So when we became new rectorate of NHH, we saw that NHH has a fantastic culture, but we wanted to actually make it more explicit for people. So a culture is, so to say, how do we do things at a place, right? And at NHH, how we do things is it's put down in these NHH culture notes. And when we developed them more explicit, we invited the students to also take part of how these should be put down in words. So I think that turned out really well for us at NHH.
Definitely. But one thing, in a busy life, busy everyday life, even the most diligent person may sometimes forget. It is hard to always be perfect, actually, and it's hard to remember everything all the time. So, of course, we try to help and support each other. But could you show us some more explicit examples of how NHH reminds us, all of us actually, of how important it is to have an inclusive culture?
Definitely, but for that we have to go to one of the little video takes that I made before.
Når man er ny en plass, og spesielt dere nå som er ny på NHH, så lurer man kanskje på hvordan man skal oppføre seg. Og vi har laget et sett forventninger til hvordan man skal ha det på NHH. Vi har kalt det NHH-kulturen. Dette har vi laget sammen med studentene våre. Nå er dere sikkert spent på hva disse NHH-kulturreglene er for noe. Jeg har med meg et eksemplar her, og det viktige for oss er jo at dere selvfølgelig får med dere hva disse reglene handler om. Og da har vi tenkt ut en plass der dere vil lese de, og det vil være på do. I løpet av velkomstuken, og kanskje ellers i året, vil dere tilbringe litt tid her. Og da tenker vi at ved å henge opp NHH-kulturen på døren, så er det rikelig anledning til å studere hvordan vi skal ha det på NHH, og hvordan dere skal oppfylle de retningslinjene.
Very good, Therese. The entire rector team and the entire school, for that matter, continuously work to make sure that we are open and inclusive. We have incredible talented students here, and your welfare is really important for us. But what if, despite all these very good facts and intentions, what if something goes wrong?
Well, Øystein, maybe I can answer that. So, first of all, of course, we hope that this will never happen, but we do have routines in place in case it happens.
And it's very important to talk about difficult things, right?
Absolutely. And I think we need to be able to talk about everything at NHH. We should be open. We should be able to talk about everything that is important. That also applies to the harder topics. So some issues you want to discuss, then you can go to the student union. In fact, the student union and the rector team meet a lot of times in formal settings and in informal settings. So the distance at NHH between the students, the student union and the rector team is not long. That is important to know. So for instance, we have what we call rector coffee, which then is a sort of more informal meeting place, but we also have more formal meeting places. So information, issues to discuss, harder issues to discuss, this is a possibility to present these issues to us as the rector and team. Then we also have formal things like what we call læringsmiljø utvalget, the Teaching Environment Commission, where we talk about learning environment in general, how to improve that. And we have student representatives in all the formal committees at the school.
And maybe let me jump to maybe the most difficult part, namely violations of laws and ethical standards. This is maybe not the most exciting topic, but it's so important that we talk about it. And it's so important and crucial that if some of the students see this or experience this at NHH, they let us know. And we have formal procedures and routines for this. And so I made a little video to talk more in detail about this topic. Som student skal du ha det trivelig og trygt i studietiden og på campus. Dessverre kan det likevel skje at du opplever kritikkverdige forhold som brudd på regelverk eller etiske normer, og da er det viktig at du sier fra. Dersom du ønsker å varsle enten om noe du opplevd selv, eller noe du ser rundt deg, kan du gå inn på NHHs nettsider. Der finner du nettskjema og e-postadresse for å varsle. Du finner også mer informasjon om hva du bør varsle om. Å varsle kan være vanskelig for de som er involvert. Det er nettopp derfor Jorunn og jeg reagerer raskt, slik at de som er involvert slipper å vente lenge på en reaksjon. Vi tar alle varslene alvorlig og behandler de strengt konfidensielt. Det betyr at hverken varselet eller navnet på varsleren går ut til flere enn det som er strengt tatt nødvendig for å behandle saken din. Avdekker vi at det faktisk har skjedd et kritikkverdig forhold, følger vi opp, og vi har faktisk plikt til å sette i gang tiltak for å rette det opp. For det er ikke greit at slikt skjer på NHH.
Thank you so much, Malin. Of course, we do hope that things will never go this far. But it is reassuring to know that we do have processes to handle this should it occur. That is important. The procedure is in place.
Of course, and of course we hope that this is not going to happen, but it's important that the students are aware of this channel of communication. And Therese, you talked a lot about the culture at NHH. And I think this is a core part of that culture. And sometimes you need to use that reporting channels. Other times you could actually talk directly to the people concerned. Maybe that could resolve the issue.
And like you said, this is part of the NHH culture. And when we explicitly wrote this down, we said that we have zero tolerance for harassment, right? So this is super important. But I think what you mentioned is that, so we have this responsibility ourselves, but sometimes it's maybe not that easy to yourself know if you have gone over some limits or not. So we definitely need to help each other to see these things.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a matter of using the right language. If you all the time speak Norwegian and there's one non-Norwegian speaker there, that could feel exclusionary. Definitely. But it's probably not meant in that way. So by mentioning it, you could maybe resolve it already in that way. But I have to admit that in the really, really hard cases that I do insist a little bit upon today, that might not be possible. If that's someone from faculty, if it's a teacher, how are you as a student going to talk to that person? Or a senior or well-respected student, or maybe it's the student union. It could be anyone. It might be impossible, or you don't feel comfortable reporting that or talking directly to that person or that group of people. And in that case, I think it's really important that you use the official channel and use it one time too much. If you're in doubt, just use it. It's really important that you're open and that you tell us things as soon as possible.
One thought I have is maybe these things are even harder to discover in today's world of social distancing. So maybe it's special times, you know. So I think probably it's best if all of us are very vigilant and take extra care of each other right now. We live in special times.
And let me just highlight that kind of the first rule we have in the NHH culture is at NHH we take care of each other. So if you just remember that, that's kind of, we will come a long way. And actually just remember one thing, when you walk down the hallway, smile. I mean, that can do the best day for anyone. So I will encourage everyone to do that.
We will remember that. In addition to Corona and issues related to Corona and social distancing, there is one other complication at NHH today, or at least a challenge. I guess a lot of you already have noticed that NHH is partially a construction site right now. And this is where the final member of the rector team comes in. Gunnar is vice rector for faculty management. Gunnar is also responsible for all the infrastructure, including the buildings. So you are the right person to talk about that. Gunnar, you have been at NHH for many years. You are part of the rector team, vice rector now. A special thing about Gunnar is the fact that I think that Gunnar has been in all rector teams I can remember in my time at the NHH. So I think you have been in 4 or maybe 5 or even 6 rector teams, which is not that bad. It's quite unique actually. So I feel comfortable that an important construction project is here in your hands actually. But it's temporary, I hope, this project.
Yeah, definitely, that's correct. The construction site has not gone unnoticed, I would think. So we have to live with this construction site at least till the end of the year. So, and hopefully by January next year, we will move into rehabilitated buildings, very nice buildings, very up-to-date buildings, modern, enabling modern and new teaching methods, for example, and a building which is energy efficient and gives us low maintenance costs and operations costs. So yeah, hopefully we will be very happy with the buildings when they open in January. It is about time that we had this rehabilitation because these old buildings are from 1963. So it's coming close to 60 years old buildings. So it was about time to do something with them, both outside and especially inside. So maybe we should move behind the fence. Normally you would not be allowed to move into the construction site, but yeah, we make an exception today.
Good.
Nå skal vi ta en tur innenfor dørene her for å gi et litt inntrykk av hvordan undervisningssituasjonen blir for studentene fra vårsemesteret 2021.
Ta en kikk inn i den nye vestibylen. Den begynner å ta form. Og dette blir jo et viktig sted for studentene, for her vil jo studentene sitt servicesenter ha hovedsete. Så vil i tillegg studentforeningene sine kontorer, de vil følge bakover i korridoren der borte rundt hjørnet. Så dette blir et hjerte i høyskolen, rett og slett. Dette er det vi kaller et samarbeidsauditorium. Her blir det møblert med gruppebord. Pedagogikken da gjerne er tenkt med at underviser står og foreleser om et tema, og så jobber studentene i grupper. Og så gjerne har man avutstyr på pultene, sånn at man kan vise på skjerm for alle hva man har jobbet med. Så det blir en mer dialogbasert, mer aktiverende undervisningssituasjon. Her er det jo så godt som ferdig. Ferdig bygde sittenisjer. Lenger bort i korridoren her så er det små sånne avlukker hvor man kan ha studentarbeider.
Det jeg ser for meg akkurat her, igjennom her, kommer det til å strømme studenter.
Dette blir en sånn hovedfartsåre.
Dette er et eksempel på et case-auditorium. Dette auditoriet er jo utformet som et amfi. Dette blir et viktig auditorium, på lik linje med ett eller to tilsvarende auditorier som kan brukes til noenlunde det samme formålet.
This looks pretty good. I'm looking really forward to using these areas again. So there are good news. This is, just some months and then we are inside this building.
Yeah, we are all looking forward to this, but for the time being we have to use what we have of other buildings, like the service building on the north side of the campus and the new building, which we call the new building, even if it's 7 years old, that you probably all know from the last couple of days on campus. And in addition to that, we have what we call the Merino building down by the sea, which is used for teaching and for offices and so on and so forth, now in this construction phase. So the Marina building is available. You can walk on a track down from the service building and down to Merino, which is a nice exercise, at least going up.
Gunnar, I think they're going to figure this out, and they're going to figure out how many times they want to walk up and down that steep track. It is steep. But if they worry about finding their way, there is an app for that. There's Mates Map to help them a little bit as well. And then they have this entire week to get to know the school, to get to know our educational programs before courses start next week. And for those who are not on site yet, I hope that you will be able to join us here at in Bergen and at NHH very soon. But for now, we have proposed a variety of both on-site teaching and digital or virtual solutions. And even if you can't be here right now, we will provide a good alternative for all of you.
And for those of you already on site, don't forget that we are not fully out of the woods yet, definitely not. So please respect the infection prevention regulations at all times. This is actually very important. And that includes the lecture halls and in Kjelleren, the students' own area. But most important right now, welcome to NHH, and I hope you will enjoy this first week at NHH and the coming weeks, the coming semesters, and all your time here. Welcome. I think we should remember one final thing, infection prevention. So it's time to use this. And don't forget the 1 meter social distancing rule. Then we are fine.